But those movies, there's so much strange racism like embedded in it that George Lucas doesn't even seem to be aware of. Like, the droids clearly having feelings and being able to feel pain, but they've got restraining bolts on them and they're being sold. It's rough.
That's some shit that's in this comic book. This is another episode of the Flight Ringers podcast. I'm David King. That's Dan Spottswood.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
We are professional cartoonists, and we are Legion of Superheroes experts. The new Legion of Superheroes #2.
And this was published on October 7th of 1989. The cover date of December of 89. It's written by Keith Giffen, Tom and Mary Bierbaum, with Al Gordon assisting, and penciled by Giffen, inked by Gordon, colored by Tom McGraw. Todd Klein does the letters, and Mark Waid edits. And he probably contributed to the writing too. I don't know if we talked about this before, but it's interesting that there's like 4 or 5 writers on this.
Kind of needs it.
Yeah, for as dense as it is, for sure.
I mean, we know it's dense as it goes along. This issue specifically, not too dense. This is kind of a regular comic book. Especially
after the last one, which was a huge, kind of info dump. That book is dense as hell. I've read 6-issue trades faster than I've read that issue. I enjoy it, but you definitely get your money's worth. The first one.
Yeah, when we read it the other day, it's a really solid comic book. It reads really good. And I didn't feel like it didn't feel like all exposition or anything.
Right. They do a pretty good job of disguising it, making it part of the story.
In issue 2, they do it a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess all of these, for the first year or something, that's kind of half exposition, half filling us in, and then half
right.
New stuff.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, this series is a mystery. The reader is trying to figure out what the heck happened to all their characters that they're familiar with.
Yeah, and they just kind of dole it out little by little.
Right.
And your favorite character, you might have to wait 5 months before you find out what happened to, for instance,
Prody.
Yeah, what the fuck did happen to Prody?
It's coming.
This cover's kind of weak, in my opinion.
I don't know. I like it. It's a good contrast to the first one, which is very dark and cluttered. This one is much brighter and open. It's not static like the first one. Not sure why he's fighting a robot man, Cliff Steele from the Doom Patrol, but...
Oh yeah, this is like the Grant Morrison era robot man.
Looks a lot like him from behind for sure. Got the shoulder pads, the jacket.
It's fine. It seems a little plain. It does seem like an action kind of superhero comic cover.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I think works against it a little bit is if you look behind him, it looks like they're falling down a tunnel of some kind. But because of the flat color, maybe that isn't very clear. There's no depth to the background. It almost looks like they're laying on a blue ground, on a teal.
Yeah. This needs to go to black down here in this.
It looks kind of weird. Maybe they intended it to and it didn't work out. There's some weird kind of blurriness as you move towards the center of the...
I see some of that. The coloring in the middle, there's these kind of I don't know what they are. This kind of ribbed kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And in the middle, it's just very bright teal. And then as it gets to these seams, it kind of turns into darker blue or something.
Right.
But it's not a good gradient. If you look over here, it's kind of gray and then gets to the saturated teal color.
Right.
My glare is too bad. But yeah, I don't think it's going to show up. But it definitely doesn't look like they're falling into a bottomless pit. Which is, in the context of the story, that's what's happening. They're falling into something very deep.
For sure.
Like in Empire Strikes Back or something. Also, you can't tell, like the main character guy, Ultra Boy here.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you don't know who he is. He just looks like such a regular guy.
With a rat tail. I guess it's a ponytail, but it kind of looks like a rat tail.
It's just kind of a strange cover to me.
Yeah.
And a very strange splash page.
We have another of the fake news article info dumps that are a big part of the series. It's the Daily Planet that we're looking at, and it seems to be kind of a gossip column that we're looking at. It's
well, the first section is a gossip column. I guess the middle one's a society page.
mm-hmm.
This one is like a real news article, I think.
Towards the bottom, yeah.
This is an RSS feed.
Yeah.
If maybe our viewers remember RSS feeds from 15 years ago. They're coming back in a big way 1,000 years from now.
I can't wait. I miss them. They're dated 2991, so this is about a year and a half into the 5-year gap, or after the Magic War and the Great Collapse.
3 years ago from when the rest of the comic book takes place.
Right. The celeb kind of gossip part of it, to me, sort of reiterates that idea of them kind of being former teen celebrities or like royals, people that kids or people like to follow, and maybe they're kind of on the decline at this point. But
yeah, I think in these articles, they're talking about the upcoming wedding of Phantom Girl and Ultra Boy. I think they're both supposed to still be Legionnaires at this point.
They are.
Yeah, so they're both still Legionnaires. So I guess that explains why the paparazzi might be interested in them.
Right.
I was going to make a note of the reporters. This one's
West, right?
Beretta West. Yeah, I think even later on they say Iris West is like the editor of the Daily Planet in the future, who is like Barry Allen's wife or something.
Mm.
And I don't know if Beretta West is part of that family, I guess. The gossip columnist in the family.
Yeah, the timing is, I don't think it could be her. They might have finagled the timeline she was in later versions of the Legion, but her kids are the Tornado Twins, who were adults. So she's probably retired if she's even alive.
I thought I remembered her name from like when they bring in that Devlin Orion character who's a reporter.
Right.
I feel like he either has an interaction with her, like over email or something, or like some of these articles might be written by her.
I guess she could be like an older Perry White-like figure.
And this other article is written by Marella Tao, who is, I remember her from Who's Who in the Legion. And I think they used her later on in the rebooted period. She's just their go-to news reporter in Legion comics.
Like in one of those intros.
I think this is Marella Tao right here.
Okay.
Yeah, here she is. Award-winning telejournalist. That's Marella Tao showing up in Who's Who in the Legion #1. But she's a legit reporter. She's not this fluff stuff that Beretta West
She's
writes.
The real deal. Hard-hitting news.
Right. Yeah, Beretta West, yellow journalism. But that's all this is, right? It just says that they're going to get married.
Right.
3 years ago, the eve of their marriage.
That's right. So we cut to the present. This is Rimbor, home of Ultra Boy. We see science police pursuing a young fugitive named Kano. It's kind of made clear in the dialogue that they've had multiple encounters with her. We then cut over to Silver Ale Limited, the most powerful corporation on Rimbor. We see the chairman trying to convince a commander of the Coons to help him get rid of a pirate named Joe Na.
Dun dun dun, that's Ultra Boy.
Yes. Commander seems like he could care less about the pirate, but he's persuaded when he learns that the pirate's partner is Kano, because she has shamed the Kund Empire. This is a pretty good way of introducing this new character. While we don't know anything about her, she's apparently a major adversary to both the Science Police and the Kunds, even more so than Ultra Boy.
Yeah, they imply this real deep backstory. Like, she looks like she's like this teen girl.
Right.
But already the whole planet of Kundia, they want her dead. More than they want Ultra Boy dead, a former Legionnaire. And also this whole page where the president of Silver Ale is conspiring with this whatever foreign, like, bad guys from another planet to kill somebody with whatever means possible. Seems like that's what would happen today. It seems like Coca-Cola will be doing shit like that.
It's like two governments interacting here, except one government is actually a corporation. The corporation controls the native government there, it seems.
Yeah. He even mentions it later on that, like, the state is selling their swill of the Silver Ale.
And he's like, I can pull strings.
What do you call that? A corporatocracy or something? But yeah, instead of they're doing it so that it'll take heat off the government by having some Kund, quote unquote, terrorists or somebody make a bunch of destruction after these people.
Yeah, he's saying, I'll let you come here and kill this girl without there being like an international incident if you kill the pirate while you're at it. It's
a good way of showing in one page that Rimbor is run by it sets up this kind of government that we're kind of, it's sort of like something we know in present day, but this whole planet is
like a plutocracy or a plutonomy.
I guess so. Yeah.
So many words for it.
Yeah. Like a big fucking liquor company runs the whole planet and can make decisions about who lives and dies, Right. I guess in the present day, that's the big pharma or
weapons manufacturers.
Yeah, military industrial complex, I guess. This is the liquor industrial complex. No, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, he's going to sick the Kund Empire on poor old Kono and Ultra Boy.
Right. Here we have the Science Police are still chasing Kono through a strip club. We get a sense that Kono has kind of a low opinion of men here. There's a couple jokes about, maybe she's disguised as one of the strippers, and one of them says something like, "No, she wouldn't try that trick twice."
Well, she says like, these cops always thinking with their dicks or something.
Right.
Like that.
And then, of course, she comes face to face with a female Science Police officer after saying that.
Later on, they reveal that she's a Sclarian Raider, which is that matriarchal planet of raiders. Like we read in issue 240, Superboy 240, something where the Legion has a run-in with them. They're pirates, space pirates,
right.
All lady space pirates.
We're actually going to figure that out in about a page, I think.
Oh, shit. Next page? Oh, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, there it is.
So the Kunds have agreed to help eliminate Joe and Kono. We see them assessing tracking data on Kono, and it's kind of a convenient device to give us a rundown on her and her powers. We see that her name is Brito Annan from Sklar, and she has the ability to shift mass between herself and other objects. And also, she has some distinguishing marks. Freckles form a bell pattern on her left buttock. An attempt at humor, I believe.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Two things about this page.
Okay.
Kono has the same powers as Phantom Girl.
Sort of.
Kind of, yeah, they sort of scientifically explain them. The shifting of mass versus just like turning into a ghost or whatever.
Right. But it's actually, you can do more with that than just phasing. I mean, because she could make something extra. She could make something overly massive. Massive. I don't know if that's the word, but increase its density.
Kind of has the same powers, like a combination of Starboy, Light Lass, and Phantom Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that is what her powers are.
Right.
And we talked about this in the last issue where they're flipping the channels as a way to do exposition.
Right.
And it's from RoboCop.
Right.
I think Giffen liked RoboCop because this is another thing where we see these panels where it's like got this grid over it and it's the point of view of someone else.
You're right.
And they turn it off here. It says optical inputs shielded and it goes black for a little bit and then it comes back on. Straight out of RoboCop.
Yeah. I think we mentioned RoboCop last time. Yeah, but it was more than RoboCop. I don't know if RoboCop started it, but there's a fair amount of that in The Dark Knight Returns. There were other, like I feel like the Max Headroom TV show had a lot of that. Like there was a lot of that being used around this time.
To me, it smacks of RoboCop.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when we see whose point of view this is.
Oh, okay. See that the cops have managed to kill one of their own officers and immediately start conspiring to cover it up. Thank goodness this is all set in a dystopian future, and there's nothing like that going on now.
Real cops would never do this.
They wouldn't be incompetent and then try to cover it up.
This dead cop? That wasn't even a cop. That person was never a cop. How'd she get in a cop uniform?
Right.
Yeah, what's he say? Like, we were never here, right? Or something like that.
Right. Yeah, the other guy's like, but I think we shot. And he's like, shut up.
Yeah. It wasn't our fault. That's classic cop.
We see that Kono is phased down into an underground kind of sewer / old city that the new one has been built upon. She's hiding out there, but she's being watched by two assassins. The two assassins that the Coons have sent to deal with her and Joe. Their names are Algrunxt and Kasten.
Like you remember the Goofy Gophers, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Warner Brothers cartoons. That's what these guys are.
Right.
But I didn't. I remember that was the personality of these characters. But then I went and looked up Alphonse and Gaston, which I kind of remember.
Their names named after, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's an old thing. That's a Frederick Opper comic strip from 1,000 years ago.
It's weird. I've never actually seen any of that, but I know Frederick Opper, of course, from Happy Hooligan. I have quite a bit of that collected.
Yellow Kid, too, right? Is that what Opper did?
I don't think so.
Or is that
was, is it Richard Outcalt?
That's right. Yeah, Outcalt. Yep. Yellow Kid.
Yep.
Opper is Happy Hooligan? Did you do Buster Brown? Who did Buster Brown?
The same guy did Yellow Kid.
Outcalt.
Right.
Huh. Okay.
The Happy Hooligan stuff, it's the stuff you usually see like in the Smithsonian book is a little rough, but I found some books that collect stuff closer to the end of his life after he'd been doing it for a few decades, and it's pretty good. It's drawn a lot better. It's very like I bet Tom Hart was a big fan of it because like his what's that character he does? The punk rock guy with the pullover hat and the pug nose.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. New Hat
you know what
Stories.
I'm talking.
Yeah, I know what his art looks like.
It looks kind of like that.
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, that Tom Hart stuff is that like brush, or is it like he's got a real springy like nib pen doing that work?
I don't know. I think I think it was brush, but it's been a little while since I looked. We'll have to ask him.
Yeah. I mean, those old, like Outcalt, Opper, those other guys, like those other really early comic strip guys, like they had this really rigorous drawing technique, I guess. Like,
right.
The reason that they blur together in my memory is because they kind of look exactly alike.
Yeah.
But they put a lot into those drawings in ways that, like a contemporary comic strip reader has never experienced,
Right. Yeah, the later stuff, maybe a little bit like Harriman. Like when I think about how Harriman's human characters are drawn.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the comic book.
Right. That artsy fartsy shit.
Yeah, these two assassin characters come from a very long, proud tradition of old time comic strip stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like it gets used a lot. Like I can't cite any example off the top of my head right now, but definitely in like a post Quentin Tarantino world, it's almost become like a cliche to have like a couple hitmen who talk like this, like are overly polite to each other and use big words.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I think you're right. I also can't put my finger on it, but yeah, like guys who are very deferential to one another, but they're evil badasses.
Right.
But I feel like these guys are straight from Goofy Gophers, even though the beer bombs seem to know Alphonse and Gaston and that
right.
history. I bet Giffen was like, no, they're the Goofy Gophers from Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Right.
Because like you hear him talk about Heckler, he's like, no, it's Bugs Bunny. That's what a Heckler is.
Right.
And these guys are the Goofy Gophers.
Yeah.
I don't think Giffen is that deep of a guy. That's all I'm trying to say.
Right.
He has has influences from not any earlier than his own life.
Right. Yeah, and Beerbaum, from what I've read on his blog, he seems very aware of like the broader history of comics. He knows about more than just DC comics, or he seems to know about underground comics quite a bit also. It wouldn't surprise me if he knows newspaper comics as well.
Platinum Age comics.
Yes.
Ooh, Silver Ale.
Right. I guess it's a beer commercial. I'm a little confused because it kind of talks about it not being addictive, right? Is it beer? Is it not?
Yeah, well,
maybe the commercial's just lying.
All this text is like a jingle.
Right.
It's actually typeset in a font.
Yeah.
And it says, why would anyone try an addictive high when here's the very best that your credits can buy?
Right.
Yeah, it's not quite like drinking beer is not an addictive high. It's addictive, but is it a high? It's actually a
right.
It's
a
that
low. Kind of logic. Like don't do drugs, drink beer.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Right. If I'm not mistaken, we've got a cameo here from isn't that one of the Wanderers?
I think he is. I think he's one of the Wanderers.
The revamped version that got their own series.
Right. And this is the container that Silver Ale comes in, is this kind of bullet-shaped thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this guy, he must be a Kolu-an. He's green with blonde hair.
Right.
One of the smartest people in the universe drinks Silver Ale. Oh, and this is also more RoboCop. They had satirical, stupid commercials in RoboCop, and that's kind of what this is too. Yeah,
I guess so. It doesn't seem particularly over the top, though. It seems like a beer commercial, and a tame one at that. Maybe they've just gotten so much crazier since this came out. The one thing that's really missing here is we don't see really any tits or ass here, and that.
Right. This
right.
puckered up mouth is as sexy as it gets.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder why this girl is not in a bikini. Come on, Keith.
Right. The commercial is actually being watched over at Jonah's hideout by a character named Jenny, who he seems to have kind of a casual relationship with, I guess.
Yeah, she's like his girlfriend, it seems like.
Yeah, but it kind of seems like that kind of like a badass cool guy movie trope where he's you might have a few different girls like this who stay over at his house. Like
yeah, kind of like he's a
Mel Gibson, every Mel Gibson movie.
But yeah, this is kind of a surprise because first page of this comic was all about how he's about to get married to
Right.
Phantom Girl. Phantom Girl's getting a new wedding dress, et cetera, et cetera. And then now a few pages later, here he is, and he's like, "This ain't no Phantom Girl. What happened?"
Right. And I guess what I was getting at there really was that this isn't like he's not marrying this girl. Like this is just some girl to get his mind off it or something. It doesn't seem like he has a serious relationship with her necessarily, like he did with Phantom Girl.
But see, we don't know. As of this page, we don't know what happened to Phantom Girl.
Right.
Do you think that when you read this, or when the original audience read this, do you think that we were supposed to think that he's cheating on Phantom Girl?
Oh man. Or that they broke up.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm reading into it, but it seems like they're kind of implying that she might be a sex worker.
Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, she's naked here in the first panel in bed, and he's shaving, so it's like it's in the morning.
Right. I'm not saying that she's working with him, but she says she has to go to work, and I don't know what gives me that.
Oh, you think maybe she's a sex worker and he's a pimp?
No. I mean, he is definitely having a sexual relationship with her, but her job is a sex worker of some kind, like
I see.
A stripper, a prostitute. I don't know what, but
But you don't think Ultra Boy's paying for it?
No, I don't.
I'm sorry I said that.
But I could be way off there. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe it's just because it falls so much into that kind of trope in movies with this kind of character, like his girlfriend is a stripper or something like that. She says she has to go earn some credits. I guess she could be doing that some other way. Did you not get any impression like that?
I didn't quite get that impression because I feel like, and I can't remember if it's from prior in the issue. It seems like they've got an operation going. Ultra Boy, Ginny, Kono.
Oh, okay.
And
you think she's part of it?
Yeah, because she says, "See you at the base." Like they're gonna reconvene later, and they're part of a crime gang or a resistance movement or something like that.
Right.
And like these last two panels, Kono pranks Ginny.
Right.
And it's like they're all kind of familiar with one another.
Yeah, she definitely is familiar with her.
So it just makes me think that they're kind of, this is some kind of Rimborian crime thing.
Right.
That Ultra Boy's always been a gangster on Rimbor or something.
Right.
And now he's working against, like he complains about the beer or the Silver Ale commercial.
Right.
Because, I don't know, he just opposes them because they're corporate and he's not a sellout. He's a regular 90s guy, not a sellout piece of shit selling beer to poor people.
Like probably from his point of view, what he's doing is more legit than what they're doing.
Yeah, but we don't know what he's doing either. They haven't explained it, but the Silver Ale wants him out of the way. They want these Kundian guys to kill him and his little partner, Kono. They want him gone.
We can sort of assume he's some kind of benevolent pirate, if such a thing exists. Like he's being labeled as a pirate by the corporation, but maybe he's getting food and supplies to people that aren't Silver Ale brand. Or
you and I think that an anti-corporate person is benevolent.
Right.
A lot of our viewers may not feel the same way. They may feel the reverse way. And to those viewers, I say, unfollow us. We don't want you as a fan.
No, don't do that. We really need you.
But yeah, I'm not sure what Ultra Boy and his gang could possibly be doing that would make whatever Anheuser-Busch want to assassinate him, but he's doing that.
Bootlegger.
He could be a bootlegger. He could be making Ultra Boy ale.
On the next page, we see Ginny is yanked into an alley by the two assassins, where she is interrogated and killed, though not necessarily in that order. And having learned the location of Joe and Kono's hideout, they destroy the power grid with, I guess, the intention of blowing it up somehow.
Oh yeah, that power grid thing's on the next page, right?
Oh, I got the pages
mixed up
fine. Then.
I was kind of bummed. I thought this Ginny character had some potential. Just after only being in the story for one page, I'm like, right. Oh, fuck, they killed her already? Brutally? Mm-hmm. And yeah, they extracted information from her somehow. It looks like they've got some kind of a lie detector thing. And they can tell she's lying, but somehow they also still know what she meant to say.
Right.
Even though we don't see her say anything, give them any information. But yeah, they kill her, and this is her death, is this blob of blood. Like they squashed her like a bug.
Yeah, it works. I like it.
It's all right. You got to kill somebody.
You don't need to be graphic about it. You don't need to be gratuitous.
But it actually does kind of ruin the surprise. You flip the page and you look at this, and it's like, what happens here, do you suppose, way down at the bottom of this page? Maybe this person gets killed, and it is exploded like a bug. This weak person in the face of the goofy Gophers.
Well, and he doesn't seem to. We haven't really gotten there yet, but I don't feel like he spends a lot of time dwelling on her death.
No, he sure doesn't. Yeah, you're right. Even though she was one of his trusted operatives.
Yeah, especially at night.
This is where they are going to tear down the power grid.
Right. Somehow by smashing this, it may cause everything to go boom.
And they give us a little bit of introductory information of Ultra Boy here.
Right.
In case you didn't know, in case this is your first ever Legion of Superhero comics, this little guy is this dude on the cover. Right. I don't know if you would get that. I bet you would not understand this. If you just started issue 1, you wouldn't know what was going on here.
This is kind of a Magic War era picture of him, I guess. Kind of an in-between.
Yeah, this got to be this is old driver's license picture. He looks a little chubby even in this. Like, this is the best times. Like, he's been getting consistent raises from RJ Brand for 15 years. He's about to get married to the love of his life. He eats real well.
Yes. Got that really great Mike Minoya ad on the right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we briefly check in with Lyda, and a cleaned up Loomis. He's shaved here, which seems out of character. I think they tried this and it didn't work out, because I'm pretty sure he ended up getting his beard back. Didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
I really like that character a lot. Like, he's a great addition to the book.
Good supporting character, yeah.
Right. But this page is really the only page that connects it all with the previous issue. Like, in a way, this is almost, except for this, it's almost like it's like we're still in the first issue, like an extended part of it. This is still the opening, the establishing of your main players. Nothing has really moved forward yet.
Right. Well, and in this issue,
Cosmic Boy
still nothing moves forward through this whole issue.
Right. It's not till, I think, next issue where they actually do make a move of some kind.
But like in issue 1, they introduce Cosmic Boy, they introduce Reap Daggle, introduce Shrinking Violet,
Digby.
Introduce these two guys, probably somebody else. But in issue 2, it's very Rimbor heavy. It's all Ultra Boy and Kono, basically. They get the
Right.
whole issue, whereas the other issue is divided between 4 or 5 characters.
4 or 5 characters, and like just establishing the world they're in,
Yeah.
like through, the news and just setting the scene, I guess.
Yeah, combining issue 1 and 2 into a double size might have been a good move if they had thought of it back then. It's like they probably didn't do stuff. Well, they did double size first issues back then. They should have consulted me. The DC of 1989 should be talking to 2023 David.
I just feel like they were always kind of stingy about doing extra length Baxter series books. They would do them, but not nearly as much as they would with the newsprint series. Maybe they didn't think people would pay that much more money.
That must be it. Like the annuals are Baxter and big,
Yeah.
but that's about it. You're right.
Right, and then when they do like the big annual crossovers, a lot of times they would omit the characters who were on the nicer paper. They just wouldn't have annuals.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I mean, I didn't get very many of them because it costed too much. This page is just kind of exposition, kind of gets us caught up with what happened last issue.
Right.
And it explains that Rock Kryn is headed towards Rimbor right now with Chameleon Boy, and these guys aren't going with him.
Right. So
and Loomis is getting a silver ale. It's right there.
I missed that. It's good. It's good. And then we have the big. What does it say? Cthulhu?
Pathum.
Bathum.
Oh, and it's a Pathum, and then a Splow, and a Plume. Giffen does goofball sound effects.
I've got some serious reservations about the infrastructure of their electrical grid there. So if the electricity goes out, if a transformer blows up or something, like the city just explodes. You don't just have a blackout.
They need those, what are they called? The G. This would be a good joke if I could remember it.
You know
the plugs that have the little fuse in them?
Like a circuit breaker or what?
Yeah, it has a breaker that if it gets overloaded, it snaps and the plug doesn't
work.
Oh,
anymore. Right. Like a power surge. What do you call a surge protector? No?
Yeah, it's not that though. They have a name for them. I wish I had my phone handy. Hold on. I'm going to go look just so I can make this joke.
Okay.
GFCI.
That was worth the wait. Of course, after post-production, it'll be like instant.
Uh-huh. Rimbor needs to get some more GFCI outlets in their places. Ground fault circuit interrupt. GFCI.
It's a deep cut.
Yeah. Homeowners know. This page is pretty good here. I was actually looking at it in the 5 Years Later omnibus, and the pagination's a little different because of taking out the ads and stuff.
Right.
This is on a page flip, so you'll see this page, and when you turn it over, then it's Pathum Splow Plume.
Should have put that shocker ad there.
Maybe so. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually over here, huh?
Right.
I guess I'll flip over. This is the building. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you can see that Alter Boy's apartment or Ginny's apartment. It's near a place called Kara's Vortex and something called Female Life Forms.
Right.
I don't know what it says out
That's
here.
Where Ginny works.
Looks like it says clothes only.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of all nude, it's clothes only.
Right. I think.
But yeah, this
Is
is the red light district of Rimbor, which
is
is
this kind of an example of what Al Gordon was talking about in that retrospective? Maybe they
this is
even had this page in there.
could be
Can't remember.
This is another Frank King inspired page.
Yeah.
You can imagine a little Skeezix walking around down here, going to a strip club.
On fire. Well, that shocker ad looks crazy. It's all reflecty.
Oh, yeah, it's very glossy paper. Shocker. Let's talk about this page first before we look at the shocker ad.
The assassins are searching the rubble for bodies when one of their heads spontaneously combusts. But actually, it's the flash vision of an alive and very pissed off Jonah, who at this point has finally figured out that he should probably keep his invulnerability on at all times. After all these years of being hit on the back of the head because he wasn't smart enough to use it, just keep it on all the time, you know. Of course, we have to assume that he has finished shaving at this point, because then it wouldn't make sense. So he probably would have had to have turned it off to shave.
Looks like I detect some stubble here on this panel.
Oh.
So
maybe his ultra energy does not extend to his whiskers. I don't know.
He's probably just being hyperbolic.
Right.
I wonder if never turning off one of his powers makes him tired, or makes him like, is that like clenching your jaw all day long or something, to not turn off your super invulnerability and just be like no powered for a little bit?
Yeah, the idea of it being like a thing, ultra energy, makes it sound like it might be finite, like, especially since he can only use one at a time. Like, maybe it wouldn't be a good idea to have it on all the time. He'd be depleted when he needed it.
Yeah, his body is riddled with ultra energy, and he can use one power at a time that the ultra energy makes available to him. I don't know how he knows how to turn them off and on, or how to switch. And is one of them on at all times, and he makes the decision to make it invulnerability versus flash vision versus whatever the hell the other ones are, flying.
Where is it coming from?
In that case, he would leave on invulnerability all the time, because the other ones is him flying around constantly or frying everything with his vision.
Right.
But yeah, who knows? Where does it even come from? Is it like in his skin?
Yeah, like everyone else in the DC universe with this kind of very common power set, the Superman powers, they all seem to get it from stars, from the sun. But I don't think there's ever been any reference like that with him.
He got it in the belly of a space whale.
Well, yeah, I know where he got it, but where's it getting?
Oh,
like, where's it being generated? Where is it being replenished from? Like, I guess an extra dimensional source.
What's that stuff you get from whales?
Blubber? Oil?
Kinda. It's really gross. It's a really gross substance you get from whales, and it's extremely valuable. It's called. It's some like Herman Melville type of shit. That's ambergris. Have you looked it up yet?
Ambergris, yeah. Or gray amber. It's a solid, waxy, flammable substance of a dull gray or blackish color, produced in the digestive systems of sperm whales. It has a marine fecal odor.
Ultra Boy consumed so much ambergris that it gave him superpowers down there in the digestive system of whoever the Super Moby Dick of the space, or whatever that thing was, Green Dragon, whatever it was.
Right. Wow, this is pretty revolting.
Yeah, I know it. But you would use that to fuel your lantern, I guess, back in the 1870.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like he had to, like a Green Lantern having to recharge. Like he has to go and eat some more of that stuff.
Oh, fuck. He probably
every couple of years.
That's why he's so cagey about everything. It's because he has this weird secret where he has to eat whale shit. or whatever, some kind of whale.
That's why I looked so high on the hog there for a little while. Just like
Oh
just
yeah,
ate too much of it.
Eating a lot of it.
Wanted it to last.
But I think that's where his powers come from.
So, the Shocker.
Uh-huh.
I don't know much about it other than it being a Marvel
for-
villain and a kind of a dirty sex move, I believe.
This is just a long ass fight scene between Ultra Boy and the
yeah.
Goofy Gophers here. It kind of takes up a lot of the issue.
It does, and it. As much as I like Giffen's art, especially at this time, it's not. Some of these panels are confusing. It's like kind of hard to tell what's. You get the general idea of what's going on, but like I guess in the bottom middle one, like the way his guts are streaming gives you they're like functioning as motion lines, I guess, to show that he's swinging downward, maybe.
Yeah, there's a sound effect here, but it totally gets lost. That would kind of
okay,
kind of guide you through that
Mm-hmm.
of Ultra Boy. Like in this panel, he's got hold of the guy's neck, and in the next panel, he yanks it all out.
Right.
He yanks all his guts out through his neck.
Right.
And there's a scroosh sound, but it's the same dark green as the guy's guts.
Right. And like the kind of like when he caught I don't know if it was this guy or the other guy, caught one of their heads on fire in the previous page. Part of the humor, there's sort of a bit going throughout this whole fight that they're very like nonchalant about it. Like they're clearly they're like constructs of some kind, androids or something. They don't feel any pain. They're just sort of inconvenienced by losing a head or.
Yeah, I think they are cyborgs, like RoboCop.
Like RoboCop.
Can you hear that? Do you hear that, cat?
Is his ass exploding again?
No, he's just going wow, wow, wow. Oh, this is also more
Right.
fighting.
We switch back over to Kano, and we see it kind of continues from the last page. Like basically, Joe has punched that character out of his scene into this one. Like there's kind of I don't remember on the last panel on the page before. It's kind of like a joke or something. Like he's like, "What are you gonna do?" or something like that. And the next page is the guy flying across the panel. Like,
yeah,
it'd probably help if I had the book in front of me. What did he do? He made some crack. Oh, next, and the guy's just standing there.
Yeah,
and then in the next page, you just see that guy flying into the scene.
Well, the sixth panel on page 16 here is basically the cover.
Oh, yeah.
He's fighting that guy, and they're falling down
right
into the ruins of the ancient city beneath modern day Rimbor.
Right.
Which is a sort of a it's a thing they use in all kinds of sci-fi stuff. Like there's ancient ruins down there, and sometimes there's a different breed of people who live down there, on and on.
Yeah, it is a common thing. Are there any such cities? I was thinking about that. Like, how does that work? Do you just build like the floor along the buildings?
Yeah, I don't know.
The top of the buildings? I mean...
Right, yeah. It's all just like a tree house on top of the skyscraper or something. I don't know. In a lot of things, it's like the old subway tunnels.
Right.
There's stuff like that. Like it's in New York, and
yeah.
It was in. I think it was in Logan's Run or something. Even wasn't it? I don't know if that was beneath the current city or if it was just next to it, and you had to take a special subway train to get there.
Right.
But I remember Magnus Robot Fighter had that, where like it's like these tall cities where at the top was where the rich people lived and the bottom was where the less fortunate people. Kono's down there right now.
Right. And we see her, she gets to see her show off her powers. She takes the mass away from this guy, causing him to kind of phase through the ground, and then she gives it back to him, sort of maiming him.
And all that's left of him is his hand sticking out.
Right.
I mean, he's not alive, so I guess he's
Right.
just half ground, half whatever he was before, cyborg.
Right. It's a little confusing here. I can't tell if like part of him is still attacking her or if that's the other guy. I think it might be the other guy.
It's the other guy who Ultra Boy
Right.
ripped his head and guts out
Right.
of.
It's like the horror movie like comeback scene, like the guy you thought was dead shows up one more time at the last second. And
right. There's only two guys. We just killed the second guy.
right.
Oh, here's the first guy back again.
Right. It's like, I thought I killed you 3 pages ago.
She says, "Uh-oh, he's not dead yet."
So what remains of him gets combusted by Joe with his flash vision, and he falls like the Emperor down the shaft and explodes.
Yeah, this was kind of funny. She's like, "Why didn't you do that to begin with?" And he's like, "Oh, I was too mad. I forgot."
Still a dumbass.
Yeah, like the whole time, you could have just vaporized these guys with your flash vision, just like a blink of the eye, literally.
Right.
No, it actually took out 10 pages of this comic book for the fight scene.
Right. Would have been a boring comic. All right. So now we cut to a new character, or a new old character that we haven't seen in this yet. It's Siobhan Aaron, the former science police liaison for the Legion and former girlfriend of Element Lad. Dirk has apparently been kind of harassing her with gifts, with semi-predatory notes like, "I live for the day when you're mine, my beauty."
What a creep.
I don't know. Maybe that works in the 30th century. I don't think it'd get you very far here. It's sort of implied she's worked her way up in the ranks of the science police. She has a more important, stressful job there. And that we see that she's being monitored by a totally new character to us. She's basically a villain, right?
Yeah, she shows up and she's a villain.
Her name is Circe.
Circe,
how do you say?
Circe or Circe is how I say that.
Right. And she is spying on Siobhan, and she seems to be looking to see if she knows any subversives, I think she suspects she's involved with the insurgents, the resistance, whatever they're called here. And we can tell, like in this long list of names, we see Polar Boy's name in there, and he's definitely considered a rabble rouser.
Yeah, the names I recognize are
him and
Raoul Benham. Who is that? He's
the plant.
Oh yeah, he's Chlorophyll Kid.
Right.
Yeah.
I think all the others are just like Legion fans, like their variations of their names that the writers snuck in.
I think maybe Haas On is somebody, but not totally sure. But yeah,
right.
It's since she used to be the Legion police liaison, probably doesn't really set off any alarm bells that she knows Legionnaires, right?
Right.
So that's what this lady is. She's kind of annoyed that there's no dirt on Officer Aaron.
But the other thing she seems to be researching here is a role she seems to be playing, as she seems to be cosplaying as Siobhan here for some sexual strangeness she's engaging in with Dirk.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of weird things on this page, or on these 2 pages. Officer Aaron gets home after hard day work. She strips down to her undies and she's going to take a bath.
Right.
They show her in the bath, and then she says, she's complaining about how hard the science police job is, the higher up on the ladder she gets. Right. And then she says, but at least there are extracurricular activities to keep me sane. And she says, right, Boofer? Talking to this weird big-eyed critter here, right?
I didn't even catch that.
And I'm like, what are you doing with Boofer? And his name's Boofer. And she says, oh, come on, Boof. You do think I'm... And then she's cut off, and there's this weird sound.
Oh,
Baloo-doo-doo, baloo-doo-doo. She says it's the damn comlink, but I was reading this and I'm like, is that the sound that Boofer's making? Is like some kind of weird bathtub water boofer sound?
Does he boof? Is that what he does? Boofer's boof?
I don't know. It's out. I'm getting the impression that this is like a sex toy for her or something. Pet. Yeah, it's really weird. And then on the next page, this lady does some cosplay, some erotic cosplay as Officer Aaron with Dirk.
They're really doubling down on the Dirk as a douchebag idea in this series.
Yeah, but also Siobhan Aaron is fucking a little critter.
That's open to interpretation. I'm not sold on that, but maybe I just don't want to be sold on that.
But he's also calling her. Circe is like, Dirk, who are you calling? And he's like, oh, nobody. But in this panel, this is Officer Aaron's phone ringing over here. So,
oh my God, that is so.
At the same time, the Circe lady is dressed up like Officer Aaron to whatever, make love to a Sunboy. He's trying to actually call the real Officer Aaron on the phone.
Wow. I was like poring over these panels so myopically, I didn't even make that connection there. It's so obvious looking at it now. That's pretty clever too. And how it's like the two pages are running simultaneously, and the sixth panel on each page is the same moment in time in different places. Cool.
It's cool, but it's
much cooler than the boof thing that you've dreamed up.
I don't get this guy. Like, even if she isn't gonna
boof him,
get boofed by him, I don't know. Yeah, even if she's not doing it, what is this guy? Why is he lingering around her bathtub?
Well, maybe it's just like the cat, and like you're taking a dump and the cat doesn't care.
Well, what's the extracurricular activity she's talking about? Just taking a hot bath after work? To me, that doesn't seem like extracurricular activity. That seems like a normal activity that's not extra, that it's a primary activity. But it becomes extracurricular when you have an animal to make love with.
But maybe the extracurricular activity she's referring to is involvement in the insurgents, the resistance.
The fun extracurricular activity that takes the edge off of your hard work day.
Like destroying the crappy system you're stuck working at. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. It's a confusing page. Especially confusing for a 14-year-old David. Yeah.
So you thought that way back then?
I bet it was. I had no idea.
You've been wondering that for 30 years?
Like, why is his name Boofer?
I didn't bother checking Urban Dictionary. Boof probably does mean something like that, but
like, you remember the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, and he's talking about boofing in that.
Oh, I thought that was like the thing where you stick beer up your butt or something.
Maybe
like
it is.
Alcohol enemas or something.
I thought it was.
That is what boofing is. That is exactly what boofing is. Inserting drugs or alcohol into one's anus in an attempt to absorb the drugs faster and harder.
Wow. And so Officer Aaron has a pet specifically bred for that purpose.
Well, maybe he does it to himself. I don't know. Or do you think she's shoving Boofer up her ass?
He has kind of a long nose.
Oh my. Okay. So we're back on Rimbor. We find Joe searching through the wreckage and finding his 20th century shaving bowl, and we see that it was from an inscription that it was a gift from Rock. Now this reminds me a lot of Star Trek, the movies, and I wonder if it's borrows a little bit of inspiration from that. But in the Star Trek films, Bones gives Kirk some old glasses from the 20th century. Anyway, it got me thinking there's sort of a lot of parallels between like the movies, the older movie Star Trek, the 80s Star Trek versus the the Silver Age Star Trek, and
The
there's a lot of
Silver Age Star Trek?
it's like Silver Age, it's like
You mean
the 60s. It's more
we call that TOS.
right on TOS. Everything is less morally ambiguous. Everything's brighter. No one is really swearing. There's simple good and evil plots. Then you come back into like that trilogy of like 2, 3, and 4 through the 80s, where they're like middle-aged or older. They're sort of past their prime, especially when you get into like the third one. They start deliberately. I think the writers are breaking all of those rules and conventions that they strictly adhered to in the old series, like fuck the Federation, we're going to steal the ship, we're taking off. The future is it's a more lived in future that they're in. Everything is broken down and sort of like this. They even dress kind of similar, like they're wearing, several of them are wearing like worn brown leather jackets and stuff. The fashion is a little similar to some of the characters in this.
Yeah, it has to be an influence and inspiration on this stuff. The same way that, Dave Cockrum has them flying around in the Enterprise.
Right.
Giffin's got them hanging out with fucking Christopher Lloyd as a Klingon or whatever,
Right.
But yeah, the costuming is definitely like all the piping on and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the high collars.
Right.
Yeah. I just think that Giffen kind of bites off a little bit of everything and stews it up together. I didn't realize that this was supposed to be the shaving mug. I thought it was just a rock. What's this? Why does that have grass on it?
It's what's left of it. I got that. I picked that up from, I think, reading some review of the issue.
It must be, but to me, it doesn't look like
that's what's left of it.
What used to be a shaving mug, because it's colored like a rock with grass growing out of it in panel 6 there.
A rock with the name Rock on it.
Mm-hmm. Rock's Rock. And this is another. This reinforces what you said earlier when he sheds not one single tear for that girl Jenny. Like, this was not his house. This is her house that got blown up. He didn't even live here.
Right.
He just slept over.
But my shaving mug.
He had a shaving mug there. So he's like, I got to get my one thing out of her whole apartment. Right. She's dead. I don't care.
You're right. It isn't super clear. I don't know if I would have got it if I hadn't read that was what it was, but it's really the only thing it could be that would make sense in the story.
Yeah. It sure doesn't look like a shaving mug. They should have colored it like white porcelain or something, maybe.
Right.
And I still don't know why it looks like it has grass growing out of the top of it in that 6-pack.
I think that's...
Is that is that hair?
I think that's supposed to be from the background, right? No?
I don't know. It looks like it's on the top of the rock.
Or maybe it's intended to be like... you know how to draw attention to things sometimes you have like that energy, the jagged line around it.
I think it's the shaving brush.
Oh.
Let's go back and look. I can't flip to it. She's like, what are you doing? I'm shaving. Yeah, it's totally the shaving brush. And it's all scorched and burned up.
Have you ever used a shaving brush?
No. I'm not old enough to have ever used one. Yeah, it's not the mug, it's the brush. The brush says LLL Rock on it, and the mug says World's Greatest Husband. It was like a wedding gift for the wedding that never happened.
Whoa, you just blew my mind. I didn't even think about that. That ties it up perfectly. Like it's a wedding gift.
Yeah. And he's just been hanging on to it. It's from his best friend. Cosmic Boy. It's the best friend he's ever had, Cosmic Boy.
Well,
no better friend has he ever had.
I'm sure several of the Legionnaires think Rock is their best friend.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Lightning Lad, Chameleon Boy,
right,
Ultra Boy.
Right. But not Timberwolf. His best friend is Karate Kid, to Block's dismay. It's like, what? You hang out with me all day long. You never hang out with that guy. He's with his wife.
Well, who's Colossal Boy's best friend? That's Chameleon Boy, too.
Oh, right.
These guys who have girlfriends don't really have a best friend. Seems like. Colossal Boy, Ultra Boy.
How many friends do you have, Dave?
None.
Yep.
Once I got married, I didn't have any friends no more.
Mm.
You're there, like, all my friends are like, you're a sellout.
You son of a bitch.
They're like, you said you'd be single forever, dude.
You're kicked out of the Woman Haters Club.
Yeah.
That's a Three Stooges reference. I guess you wouldn't get it.
I thought it was a Little Rascals a joke.
It's probably in all of those. I'm sure Laurel and Hardy did it too.
The He-Man Woman Haters Club. They should have had that on He-Man.
The Woman Haters Club?
Yeah.
Well, clearly they did. There's only one chick in the whole line.
Yeah, but they should have had a sign up like Orko and Man at Arms and He-Man. They're hanging out down at He-Man's Woman Hater Club.
No Girls Allowed sign on Castle Grayskull.
They're like, She-Ra, she's the pits.
So we're finally returning to the conversation that was being held in the dark that also ended the last issue. And here in the final panel, it's revealed that it is the old Legion foe Roxas. And only the old Legion foe Roxas. He is having this conversation with himself. And I think I might have mentioned it last time, but I think this is a nod to his last major appearance pre 5 years later, where we find him being haunted by the ghosts of Trom.
Yeah, he's lost his mind.
I don't remember. It might have been ambiguous, but I'm pretty sure the idea was it's a hallucination, like brought by his guilt.
Oh, not literal ghosts.
Well, they're drawn as literal ghosts, but I don't think they come out and say one way or the other.
I mean, if he can contact the literal ghosts of all the Tromites, you would think maybe Element Lad would not want to murder him. Right. Element Lad might want to use him as a medium between the spirit plane and talk to his dad. Element Lad might want to talk to his dad about Dilbert.
Hey Roxas, can you ask my dad what he thinks about Dilbert?
Is my dad a racist now that he's a little older, or is he cool? Is he still cool?
Yeah. There's been a few Twilight Zones where some former Nazi or guy from the war is the last survivor of a ship, and he seems to be haunted by the survivors or some people he blew up. It was played like that, like they were scary ghosts, they looked like people, but they're all screaming in terror around him or something like that.
I think that was in X-Files even, probably.
Right.
It's a trope now.
Right. They're still, I think, connected, but here it's being played more as, multiple personality. Is that still a thing?
Yeah. You don't know who this guy is, right? You get to this panel, It's I've never seen this clown before. He doesn't even look like Roxas did in those old comics,
he looks very different.
Like you said, he looks like Fred Schneider from the B-52s.
Right, the B-52s, yeah.
Or I don't know why you think that, because he's flamboyant and gay. And you think all those guys look alike? Is that what you're trying to say?
I didn't say that. Sign says, stay away, fools.
Love Shack, baby.
I love the B-52s. Yeah. And we see...
homophobe.
Oh, man. We see they're using a computer font this time for the credits.
Oh, yeah, they typeset this. This is still... it's not the final form of this, right? They drop the L eventually, and the to give them a little bit more room
Right.
to make this wider and more readable, I think.
Yes.
Let's read this last page and get this over with.
So,
this last text page is talking about the
Right.
death of Phantom Girl.
so this one is only set maybe like a month or two after the one on the first page, which of course we last saw that they were planning on getting married.
Yeah,
And
back
in this
here
one-
in February and March of 2991, they're about
Mhm.
to get married, coming up soon, probably in
Right.
April. And this is May 2991.
Mm-hmm. And so she has apparently died or been declared dead from some kind of freak accident occurring while she was traveling from Bixtel to Earth.
Yeah, I think it was something like that, like some kind of
Sort of interdimensional accident,
right.
or like some sort of, I don't know, something happened.
She's just in her spaceship, and now she's gone. Coming
Well,
from
I mean-
there to here.
But would that be what it would be? I mean, she travels back and forth just by phasing.
Yeah,
Remember?
that's
Like-
true.
But there's sort of like a limbo in between, and like some interference was there. Something happened in between.
It says a freak breakup of interdimensional space.
Right.
Traveling
That's right.
alone from her other dimensional home world, Big Tizzle, to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Scientific observers believe the fabric of the interdimensional gulf between Big Tizzle and Earth was suddenly, inexplicably ripped apart during Phantom Girl's journey, killing the Legionnaire. So that's what happened. That's why Ultra Boy is sleeping with some other girl we've never seen before. And he's a gang leader on another planet instead of a healthy, happy, married superhero.
Right. He's a Han Solo pirate. No.
But yeah, this just says she's disappeared,
Mhm.
declared dead. But we don't know.
Or is she?
But she shows up in Legion 89, issue number 9, or somebody who we assume would be her. But we don't know.
And did that happen like a month before this or around the same time, right? Those two books started.
I think so. Well, Legion 89 began about a whole year before the new Legion of Superheroes
Okay,
began.
yeah.
Maybe it's in this. No, it doesn't show up in this. This is the list of this week's
Mm-hmm.
DC comics.
Right.
Doesn't show up there, but
Was it bi-monthly? I don't remember.
no, you can't even get a. Oh, here's this. It's an $18 subscription, Legion 90.
Mhm.
So this says Legion 90. When that series began, it was Legion 89. So there may be a year or some months into it.
Right. And she
But
did,
yeah,
it's not, but it's not like she showed up in the first issue either. I think she showed up later.
Right. I was just looking at that Legion 89 series today, and its issue number 9 has this girl on the cover who looks like Phantom Girl, and within the story, there's a Durlin who's like a main character, Durlin with the tentacles in a purple robe, who is there one moment, and then the next moment is gone, and this Phantom Girl looking person is there back in the
Right.
in 1989.
I never quite bought that time swap. It was a little goofy because he doesn't end up. He's not taking her place in the future. He's showing up 20 years earlier.
Right, that Durlin is supposed to become R.J. Brand or something.
Spoilers, right?
Yeah, whatever. For a comic that came out in 1989.
Right. Her name is FaZe, right? Was she FaZe?
I think she's Phase, yeah.
Now she's still around. Presumably she's still a separate character. I guess she might not be, but there's they had this really. It was kind of a fun book. It was like a Fantastic Four kind
Oh
of.
yeah, I remember
knockoff.
that. Is that her? That's Phase?
It's either Phase or Phantom Girl.
Well, she's actually called Phantom Girl in that book, right? And this is the
I'm not
Terrifics,
sure.
right? With Mr.
I'm not
Terrific,
sure.
Plastic Man, Phantom Girl, and
Metamorpho.
Oh, Metamorpho. He's the Thing, I guess.
Right. And then later, like, Bizarro kind of becomes a fifth member. Yeah.
The She-Hulk of the
right.
Or the Crystal or She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Or Franklin, I guess, maybe.
Crystal or Medusa or She-Hulk. Or Power Man, I guess he was in it. On the team for one issue.
Wyatt
in the 70s.
Wingfoot.
Wyatt, yeah. For some reason...
I didn't know Medusa was ever on the Fantastic Four.
What?
But that's about all that this says, right? Like,
right.
Oh, the one thing I wanted to point out is in this, they and in the previous text articles, it's the homeworld of Phantom Girl is spelled Big Tizzle, BGTZL. But I think everywhere else it is Big Ziddle, BGZTL. So I don't know who's right.
Or is it something that changed over time? Like,
we'll have to. We'll just keep an eye on the spelling of Big Ziddle or Big Tizzle as we go through these. Yeah.
I think I prefer Big Tizzles over Big Ziddles.
Well, I bet Alter Boy does too.
Yes. So here on her Wikipedia, it's BGZTL. Is that?
Yeah, I think the accepted spelling is Big Ziddle and not Big Tizzle.
Maybe it's an inside joke I stuck in. I don't know.
Maybe it's pronounced Bagtozzle.
Uh-huh.
Or Bagzoddle. Bigzoddle.
Right.
Bigzoddle. Bigzoddle. She's gone. That's all there is to it.
It's like, how did they come up with these damn... It's like they just took regular names and took all the vowels out.
Well, yeah, the last time we were talking about Big Ziddle, you said something about Beetlejuice, the constellation, and that actually made some sense in a way. Like the letters are not the right order,
right?
But those letters are all in Beetlejuice. Subtract the vowels, and you kind of get it. So I don't know.
Right.
Maybe that's what Ed Hamilton was thinking about.
Could be.
Or maybe he just like slammed his hand down on the typewriter and was like, yeah, that's a planet. One thing that made me laugh on this first text page that I wish I'd remembered about. It says Joe Naw, Alter Boy, is the spokesman for Straight Buddies of Rimble.
Yeah.
That's one of his
right.
and I assume it means straight as in not a crim. But maybe he's a anti-gay activist.
It's like a Big Brother thing, right? Like
the Straight Buddies. Yeah, they're non-criminal.
We're all in the same gang.
Big Brothers.
Like, yeah. Right.
Wouldn't it suck if Alter Boy is a homophobe? How would you feel about him after reading this issue?
Yeah.
You would want the Goofy Gophers to have destroyed him.
I think he's okay with non-traditional. He surrounds himself with non-traditional people.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure he's cool with straight people, gay people, transgender people, sex workers, masturbation pets.
Right. Boofers.
Boofers.
Is that not the right? Did I say it wrong?
No, it just makes me laugh.
Who's going to become the mascot of the show?
I bet like Sunboy is sending her like stupid, like, I can't wait to get you in bed and mount you and stupid shit like that. And she's like, ugh, dude. But then Alter Boy is like, he sends her a message and is like, hey, how's the boofer I bought you? And she's like, working out good. He's right by my bathtub every day.
I'm gonna have to do some research on this guy. I feel like he's shown up somewhere else. Like this isn't the only time we see him. It's probably like Chameleon Boy or something.
Oh shit! It's probably Pody. Probably Pody.
Pody.
It's probably Pody 3. Not
Yes.
Pody. Pody 3.
Pody.
Was this a Pody back here on this page? The page with Loomis and Lyda right here. Is this a Pody? It's Pody and Tellus. This is page 12.
It could be. Tellus is like, I can't believe the team's getting back together. No one's even like, we're right here.
Yeah, we're right here.
These two guys getting left out. Yeah, I think it is. It has to be, right?
I don't know. Seems like it. No letters page yet. Maybe next issue I'll have a letters page.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the new Legion of Superheroes #2, starring Ultra Boy.
Yay!
Oh!
What is that? Are you doing like a Sons of the Pioneers yodel there?
Bob Wills.
Yeah, Bob Wills.
He's not Sons of the Pioneers, but yeah.
It's close.
Oh! All right, we're done. That's it.